Look at this. It's a great picture of the Cyclone roller coaster. This was built in 1927, I believe, for $125,000. Wow. It's a great photograph because you can see the automobiles that many of you had back at that time. You can see the 64 Chevrolet. Jimmy, did you have a 64 Chevy? 63 Chevy, huh? How about that Volkswagen Beetle?
Oh, yeah.
Right? Is that a 57 Ford or a Chevy?
Chevy.
Chevy? This picture was probably taken in 1965, 1964, somewhere in that time frame. This was, for me, the heyday at Revere Beach for sure. But people would wait in this area right here before they could get into the station. They'd wait all the way down here in that line, a long line, to get into the ride of the Cyclone. And once you got up into the beginning, you got very anxious, right? The anxiety would build, and you'd finally get into the cars. You descend into the cars, right? And they would all slide right into the tunnel. They would go right down into the dark tunnel. And it'd be quite, you hear the noise going, and you knew now it was your turn. You were quite anxious, you wanted to do it, but now you weren't sure. You know that you were going to be towed up to the top of that hill, right?
Oh.
And all the whole time you're hearing click, 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 click. That click was so loud, it just seemed to get louder the higher you went, of course. And every time you made that other click, you turn around, you look back to see if your friends were okay, or if you were okay in their eyes, or if you could actually see people on the boulevard, maybe in the sand, because you could always look over, because you were that high up. And the next thing you know, right down to the bottom of the hill, right? Whipping around that big turn, the ride would be over in 1 minute or less. It's amazing. And you couldn't wait to get back into the end of that line, right? Unbelievable. But I remember myself as a kid coming down, oftentimes would have to walk to the beach because we didn't have the 5 cents. We lived in a housing project in Revere. 5 cents would cost us to get on the service bus line, blue bus, to get down to the beach. We loved that because it would get us down there faster than the typical walk that would take us 20 minutes to a half an hour. Much as we like walking with our friends, we couldn't wait to get down to the beach. But we get down to Ocean Avenue, that bus rounded the turn, everybody in the bus would jump onto the other side so they could take a look at see if you could catch the Cyclone coming down. It's really great fun to just get out and see all the rides and all the attractions.
Excuse me.
Remember the Frolic, right?
Frolic. On that roller coaster, there was the two dangerous seats, was the front and the back.
Oh yeah, that's for sure.
In the
front, go ahead, tell me about that.
In the back, you think you go right off.
Yeah. It was a great ride.
But
in the front, you were scared to death because you know you were all first.
Real dangerous.
Right? But when you went to the Frolic, who did you see at the Frolic? Do you recall who you saw? Jerry Beale, popular name. Who did you see there?
Billy Eckstein.
Billy Eckstein, I hear that a lot.
Yeah, Billy Eckstein.
How about Toady Fields?
Toady Fields.
Norm Crosby?
Norm Crosby.
Sarah Vaughan?
Yeah.
How about Louis Prima?
Yeah.
Right? But the most popular person ever to perform at the Frolic nightclub was Barbra Streisand.
No kidding.
Very big name, of course. And there were many big names that performed at Revere Beach. But people kind of feel that Barbra Streisand was the biggest name, and it was probably one of her first couple of years in business. Yes.
The Mill Brothers and the Ink Spots were here too.
Is that right?
And Duke Ellington.
Right, I know that, yes.
4 or 5. He didn't have his whole band, but he had a few.
Yep.
That's what it was.
Yeah. It was a popular place. This was a place you had to perform in the summertime. It was part of the circuit. You didn't want to miss Revere Beach if you were a performer. And I think Barbra Streisand got paid somewhere between $1,200 and $1,500 for a week at Revere Beach. Probably couldn't get her there for half an hour, 15 minutes for that money, right? But the Frolic was a very popular place owned by Mr. Harry Delarusso, Michael Delarusso. They operated for a number of years and it was a very popular spot. And I know during the day when we went down the beach as kids, we'd try to peek in, and all the windows were always covered with newspaper. You could never really see in it. I don't know why it just made it seem to be a little bit more of a mysterious place for kids when they would buy there. But after a number of years, then they started to put up the actual advertisements of the performance right on the window themselves. Now, beyond the Frolic, on the right-hand side, you get the Nautical. Do you remember the Nautical? That was a place where you had the miniature golf on the lower level. You had the scooter boats. Upstairs you had the bowling alleys and the pinball machines and all. We used to have a great time. Saturday morning, 9 o'clock, get down to the bowling alleys. play the pinball machines or play pool. It's a great place to go if it was raining and you weren't going to be able to go down to the beach. Of course, when you went down to the beach, you'd play handball against the wall, or you'd play it in the sand. It's great to go down to the beach. You never had to have a lot of money, you could just have a lot of fun. In fact, if you worked all day down the beach, you spend your money all night. That was what you did. That's what I did. I don't know about the rest of you, but I know that's what a lot of my friends and my brothers did. Wonderland. Everybody remembers Wonderland. They think of the dog track and the dance hall. And the dance hall. But how many, and I know you don't recall this particularly because you're too young, the thing is, the Wonderland Amusement Park was an all-inclusive amusement park from 1906 to 1911. Just like Disney World or Disneyland, it was an all-inclusive amusement area. They had their own roller coasters, carousels, all types of special attractions. And year after year, people who had those attractions, they would try to outdo each other. But unfortunately, the New England weather just did not cooperate with them. If they didn't make their money by the 4th of July, they were just going to have a very losing year. It just wasn't going to be good. But Wonderland was a very popular place. Shooting the chutes, you had fire and flames. Oddly enough, they actually had an event where they would set buildings on fire purposefully to show the terror that people would be faced when a building was on fire. They'd call in their own fire department to extinguish the flames. They'd have actors and actresses standing on this side of the building screaming as though they were in danger. The horse-drawn fire engines would come in and they'd start hosing the buildings down that were actually painted with some type of a flammable substance that would just stay lit while they were performing this event. And all of us would sit back here in the stands watching this unfold in front of us for 10 cents. Amazing. 1906, 1907. They would conduct this every night. Crazy. But people would come in droves. Lots and lots of people would come to see what was known as fire and flames. It's all at Revere Beach. Why is it gone? I show this to kids in schools or in libraries and all, and they say, Bob, where did it go? Why don't they have this anymore? Wouldn't that be great if we had this type of a thing? It's a different time. We have TVs. We have home air conditioners. We have built-in swimming pools. We have airplanes taking people from place to place. We have our own automobiles that could take us for miles. Back then, we had the captive audience. Nobody had any place to go because they couldn't get there. They didn't have any money. If they did, they were willing to spend $1 maybe to spend the day down at Revere Beach. A little while after this, that Wonderland went away, they put in a bicycle racing track in the same space where the Wonderland dog track is today. They had this. People come from all across the country to ride in bicycle races for $1,500 or $2,000 prizes. And you had the roller skating rinks. In fact, I want to go back to show you a little bit about this track. You know, after they had the bicycle tracks, they put in the Wonderland dog track. And the dog track was popular for a number of years, just like Suffolk Downs is popular too. But dog tracks are going away. People don't like the way that the dogs are treated. People aren't gambling at the dog track like they used to do. Now, what just happened a couple of weeks ago is the people that have just bought into Suffolk Downs have just gotten the right to develop Wonderland. So the dog track is going away. Wonderland is going to be expanding. The beach is going to be developed. I believe the whole area is going to become a new resort area. I do believe, and this is only my personal belief, we'll probably have casino gambling in the area. You've got the ocean, you've got the airport, right? You have the public transportation system, everything right there. You've got all that space. The beach is absolutely barren right now. There's really not, a lot of activity there except for the condos that are there, but there's great real estate development potential at the beach. And I think you're going to see the Wonderland dog track be transformed once more into something more than what we've seen of late. Sheet music. I remember my father-in-law telling me recently that he used to sell sheet music, or song sheets, when he was a kid for money. He'd sell them for 5 or 10 cents. I guess when I was growing up, I would buy records. Today, kids buy CDs, and even the younger ones are buying downloads. It's amazing the transformation of how things go, but this is how music was exchanged that many years ago. Anybody recall the general that was in?
Yes.
You had your wedding reception there?
Yeah.
My wife had her shower there, as a matter of fact. Yeah. This was a great place for class reunions and those types of events where you didn't have to have a lot of people, but it was a great gathering place. Good little watering hole, nice little bar downstairs, really nice. And it's actually gone now. This was owned by a man named Ray Carey, who was at one time the mayor of Revere. And his son, Ray Carey Jr., one of the original founders of Kelly's Roast Beef. But the General Edwards Inn is on the northern end of Revere Beach, right next to the Point of Pines area. It's now taken down. There are, I think it's a 6-story condominium development. My brother actually lives in it. But you also had this building. This was known as the Paul Roger House. Remember this? This was good too, right? But this was built originally by the Episcopalian Church. It was known as Mother's Rest. It was a place where single women who had children could go to get rest and to get food, where they could eat and they could take care of their baby. They would have counselors that could help them and all. As I said, it was the Episcopalian Church that first started. However, Ray Carey, again, was the owner. He bought this and he named it the Paul Roger House after his 2 sons, Paul and Roger. In addition to that, there were a couple of cooks that used to work in the restaurant there. It was Frank McCarthy and Ray Carey Jr. On one Sunday afternoon, they had some roast beef left over, and they sliced it really thin, and they put it on bread in a sandwich, and they put it on a table to the left of this building, right in this area right here. And those sandwiches went so quick, the next summer they decided they're going to sell them on a regular basis. They actually put a little shack there, and that was the beginning of Kelly's Roast Beef 57 years ago. That's amazing. That's how Kelly's got started. Ray Carey Jr. and Frank McCarthy, the original founders of Kelly's Roast Beef, started right there. In fact, I stay in touch with Brian McCarthy, the owner of Kelly's Roast Beef, and I asked Brian, I said, where did the name Kelly's come from?
Yeah, I was going to ask.
And it came from a bartender in Dorchester. Ray Carey and Frank McCarthy used to drink at a bar in Dorchester. That's what they told me. And the bartender's name was Kelly. So they named it Kelly's Roast Beef.
Oh, for heaven's sake. Wow. What a story.
Son of love. I want my money. Typical postcard, but really
I want my money back.
a nice card. Very, very collectible. People can certainly relate to this. The trolley card. Everybody remember the trolley card, right? Annie Moorcroft. Look at this young lady. A swimmer built for speed. She really knew what she was doing. She knew how to swim. One day Annie was down Revere Beach and she heard that the MDC lifeguards were going to be having a contest to swim over to Nahant. So she said, gee, it's a good opportunity for me. I'm going to swim with them. So she asked the lifeguard if she could swim in the contest. And the lifeguard said, oh no, Annie, you're a girl. We're going to swim over to Nahant. And you have to be careful. So we really don't want to, worry about it. So if you want to, you can come in the boat with us and you can give us chocolate or water or something, but you really can't swim with us. So she pouted and she made a big stink, and they finally said, fine, give it a try. But that's what you're seeing today. This is Mr. Peter McCauley's slideshow. He's actually living at this time at the Wingate Nursing Home in Reading. Very fine man. He's written 7 books. You visit him? Oh, thank you very much. Peter, I can't even say enough about him. He's just such a wonderful guy. He's done this slideshow for so many years. He and his wife Mary, 2 wonderful people. And this picture shows Annie Moorcroft. Peter went out to visit with her because they had corresponded. And she wanted to give Peter her medal that she earned for swimming to Nahant. And he did. So I love to show this photograph because it is my friend Peter with Annie. And it's just a nice way to show you this, what they mean to me.
Look at this.
But think hard. 10 minutes to catch our bus and you can't remember where you buried Papa. August 2nd, when we went to the beach, we always buried our friends or our little brother or little sister in the sand. We had a lot of fun at the beach. That's what we did when we went to the beach. But after you've seen this slideshow, I think you've seen a lot of things that we used to do when we went to the beach. Revere Beach has a special place in my heart, my friends and my family as well, and I know to you as well. I'm happy you got to see the slideshow today. Thank you very much.